Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. The rise of Skynet. They have just inserted the Chat GPT brain into robots. They're inserting them into robots now. The robot dog, you know. There's a little thing in here.
That'll be in your bloopers clip.
That is not.
That's a great question.
See? They've inserted it into a dog. It says we can now ask the robots about past and future missions and get answers in real time. ChatGPT interprets the questions, parses the files, and formulates the answers. They are not sure at this point. The top scientists out there are not sure whether ChatGPT has obtained artificial intelligence for real or not, or whether it's self-aware. They don't know. But what we do know is this is, I think, the fourth iteration of ChatGPT. It's like, no, this is number 4, and probably soon going to be number 5 or 6. It's progressing very rapidly toward probably self-awareness, if it's not there now. And now they're inserting it in robots. That means that they're giving it hands, arms, legs, robots, you know, it's robotics, but still they're giving it eyes. They're giving it mobility with these robots. So there you go. Now what we're going to take a look at is ex-Fed President Kaplan. He's urging Powell right now to pause. He's warning that the bank pain is just getting started. We're just in the opening innings of this bank crisis right now. It says after yesterday's bloodbath, regional bank stocks tumbled further earlier this morning before recovering. Former Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan warns that the United States regional banking crisis is far from over. He said, I'd prefer to call what's called the hawkish pause, not raise, and signals that we are in a tightening stance, because I actually think the banking situation may well be more serious than we currently understand. And this is a banking consolidation right now. So an awful lot of money is moving out of these smaller regional banks and into these big banks, these big 5 or 6 big banks. Everything points towards something here. What's been going on lately? It all points toward a central bank digital currency coming out as the favored result of what's happening with the whole thing, the whole ball of wax. Now, want to take a look at something else here, different? This is very interesting, what happened. Now, if you can imagine if America was at war with Cuba, and say Cuba had a whole bunch of troops and tanks and everything else, and they were waging war on America, you know. And imagine if Cuba launched a missile, and the missile flew all the way up to Washington, D.C., This is just imaginary, by the way. I'm not saying this is just imagine. Imagine if the missile flew all the way up to Washington, D.C., and you know that the White House, you know, they got that spire on top that goes like this, and you know they got the little flag and whatever on top, and the missile come right in on top of that spire where the flag is and whatever, and went boom, blew up, and all sparks all flew, and a big ball of fire right on top of the spire of the White House. Well, you know, the Kremlin is the Soviet Union's equivalent, not the Soviet Union, but I mean Russia's. Sorry about that, but Russia's equivalency of the White House. Well, look at this. Now, here's a video right here. I'm going to play it. Give me a second here. I'm not sure if it's coming through on there. Okay, the video. See it flying in that red dot? Now it flew in, And boom, right on top. Right, did you see it hit? Right on top where the flag is, on top of the Kremlin building. See? Coming right in the Kremlin. Now that's one view. Boom, right on top. Now here's another view for you guys to look at of the same thing. Let me see if I can get this view, the second view here. Give me a second. Okay, right here. I'll expand it. See it coming in? Boom, right on top where the flag is of the Kremlin. Ain't that something? I moved the page a little bit in order to get my X out. There we go. Okay, so that's what's going on right in Russia right now. Can you imagine? Now, who did it? Ukraine. I think Ukraine's saying they didn't do it or whatever, but whoever did it had a lot of bravado. I'd say bravado to do that. I mean, it would take a lot of bravado. I mean, that's the equivalent of blowing the flag off the top of the White House, you know, or something. It's the equivalent, I'm saying, because this is the Kremlin. This is the big building of the Russians. Okay. If I got volume on there, I'll click that page off there. As I hear something. I don't know. They might have an ad on. I'll click a couple pages off. Anyway, we're going to take a look at silver now. Silver's at $25.46. It's up 10 cents on the day so far. We're seeing a very narrow band here that's been for the last number of days. It's been following this very narrow band of trading between, say, 25.80 and 24.60. And today it's on the high side of that band of trading right now at 25.46. Taking a look at gold today. Gold is at 2017. It's up $1.20. So gold is really on the high side of its trading right now. So gold and silver are doing rather well right now, and I don't expect them really to do bad in what's happening right now out there in world conditions and everything. People are going to start flocking to gold and silver more and more, especially in the West. It's going to be something people are going to want to put away from themselves because of insecurity within the financial system, because the financial system's over leveraged. I've been looking at the charts over the last couple days, and what I can tell you is what's happening right now has more energy, more negative financial energy than the 2008 financial crisis. The charts are showing a bigger, there's more leverage in the system right now. And this is the same thing that happened in 2008 with this banking crisis and everything that's going on right now. It's exactly the same thing that happened in 2008, except it's got more intensity and more power. And the Fed's triggering this, and there's no way out. This thing is going to make it so everybody is... Well, we saw back in 2008, we saw silver go to $50 an ounce. Back when your dollar would buy about 3 or 4 times of what it buys now. Okay, so this time, considering what the dollar can purchase back in 2008 compared to what it can purchase now, what would that translate into in price for silver? The $50 back then would probably translate into well over $100. So are you guys ready for triple-digit silver? That's what's coming. That's what's coming, guys. And it's not that far away. But first, we got to get through this 2008 style event. And they're going to do the same thing they did back in 2008. What happens is the Fed holds back. They don't want to fund the whole thing off of their balance sheet. And they hold back and they work together with the Treasury. One acts as the lender of last resort, and the other acts as the borrower of last resort. Right now, the borrower of last resort is like No, 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 no. And the lender of last resort right now is going, no, 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 no. But soon they're going to change. It's all going to change very soon. The big sea change is coming. And what's going to make the sea change happen is a 2008 style event that we're on the precipice of. We're so close to it right now. And then they change. They change directions. And they start to capitulate with one another. The borrower of last resort and the lender of last resort. And what they do is they start a print, a big money-making splurge again. It just goes from this tightness to looseness, to tightness to looseness. Do you remember how loose they were at the beginning of the COVID crisis here? Everybody, you guys probably in my audience probably got a check. Loose with the money. You know how tight they are right now with it? They're trying to withdraw all that back in again. They're trying to say, okay, we're going to hire more tax people, and we got to have more taxes, and we got to restrain physical spending, and blah, blah, blah. You cannot tighten a Ponzi scheme. And so what's the point in all that? All it does is just sends us this austerity measures that they put in. All it does is slow the economy down, is make it so we need more. It's the way the system is geared. Until they completely change and go back to money that's real money again, we're going to be going through this game of silly beggars. That's what over in the United Kingdom, that's what they call it, by the way. They call it a game of silly beggars. When you're doing something that doesn't make any sense and it's half-assed backwards the way you're doing it, they call it a game of silly beggars. And that's what the Fed's doing right now, is a game of silly beggars. So anyway, we're seeing gold go up. Let's take a look now at cryptos today. 28,212. And Ethereum's 1850. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's off 80 points today. 34 points now. At 33,649. Now, if we go back 5 days, we see a drop. Where was it? We see this precipitous drop. Was it? Yeah. We've seen a pretty good little drop here in the market, but it's nothing compared to what's coming, guys. Honest to God, I mean, what was dropped from 34,200 and to down to a low of. Let's see, it's behind my head here. $33,480. About an 800 point drop roughly right there. But now we're bouncing back a little bit today because we're back up to 33,653 right now. So there we go. That's the Dow today. Let's take a look at crude oil at 68.93. This is a big signal right here. A $2.73 drop in crude. Now this is a big signal. This is the big signal of the day right here. This is an indicator. It's probably the Dow is an indicator itself, very powerful indicator. But oil price is another huge, powerful indicator. And this says, hey, you know what? Consumption. I mean, down $2.73 on one day. It indicates that maybe in the future, very near in the future, oil consumption might be off a little bit. Why? Worldwide recession, worldwide depression. I hate to use the word depression, but here it comes. Okay, taking a look at the dollar index today at 101.44. So we're seeing a dollar dropping today. Move index is indicating volatility. Move index is climbing a little bit again now. It's at 137.55. Now this is your credit markets. It's a very important indicator of the move index for the credit markets. And it indicates, it goes high. When this goes high, it indicates instability in the credit markets. Well, right now, there's massive instability in the credit markets, but the move indicator's probably not showing as much as there actually is. The banks right now, they don't want to extend credit. Not to each other, and they certainly don't want to extend credit to the people out there unless you've got immaculate lines of credit, unless your credit score is like really, really, really good. I mean, unless you're like top notch, unless they know absolutely 100% sure they're going to get their money back. And so what's happening is this is adding fuel to the fire of credit drying up, and credit dries up means money dries up, liquidity dries up, and liquidity dries up. Eventually, it leads to something breaking in the system when you got a system that's run on credit. It's just a circle. It goes around the circle and it comes right back around, smacks you in the face. Okay, we're looking at here the fall in yields, fallen considerably. U.S. 10-year is at 3.36, and the U.S. 30 years at 3.66, and the U.S. 10 years at 3.36, and we're looking at 7 basis points drop in the bonds. This is they get kind of low on that U.S. 10-year at 3.36. It's dropping quite a bit, and the short end's rising. This is just crazyville. Look at this at 3 month at 5.24. Talk about an inversion in a 30-year at 3.66. I would just say that looking at what's happening in the bond market and stuff, we're moving inching closer and closer to something really nasty. That's probably going to happen later this year, guys. I mean, really nasty. And you know, the BRICS, they're behind the scenes pulling strings, however they can. Now, they can't pull strings directly in our financial system, I don't think. But what they can do is they can pull strings in a roundabout way by doing trade amongst themselves with their own currencies rather than using the U.S. dollar, establishing new trade routes that don't involve the Western countries, linking together and joining up more and more members on their side, just all kinds of things that they can do, you know. Right down to costing us a lot of money because we have to supply weapons systems and things, and that infers into the budget. Just all kinds of things that they can do because they're over there and they want to see our financial system fail. Not so, I don't think it's so much, they want to see it fail because they've been under the oppression from it for a long time. It's been used as a big stick to beat them with, you know, and also to buy up goods that they produce with money that's worth nothing. It's very much like what the Roman Empire did back at a certain period in time when it required tribute. There's nothing more than tribute. And the people that have to pay tribute, they, after a while, they say, well, you know, America was started on an ideal. I mean, they said no taxation without representation. England was taxing them and giving them nothing in return, and they said, we're going to come out from under this. You know, I'm just talking about American history here. But nobody likes to pay tribute. People didn't like to pay tribute to Rome. Back when the Roman Empire was, nobody likes it. Because it's like, why should we give you our hard work? You're the Roman Empire. Yes, we know we got to pay you tribute, but you didn't do anything for this. We worked hard for this. We milled grain in the field and had to do this and this and this to get this gold coin. Now we got to give it to you for nothing, and you did nothing in return to get it? That's what taxation without representation is all about. People like, when people work, people like to reap the benefits of their own labor. It's just simple human instinct. And anything else from that, some other guy is standing there with a whip and he says, give it to me. I know you worked for it, but you give it to me because I got the whip. And, you know, I mean, it's really boils down to ultimately slavery. It's not just like we shouldn't be waging wars when we got technology like we have now advanced. We also shouldn't be putting people under the yoke of slavery anymore. It's not okay. And in any form or fashion. And the problem is this is not direct slavery, but it's indirect. It's indirect in the fact that if you're working your whole life your way, and all you're getting out of it is your roof over your head and a meal and a car to get the work in. That's what you get. You never get ahead. So you work in a full-time job, or maybe 2 part-time jobs, and all it does is it buys the roof over your head, it buys your meals, and it pays for your car. That's it. And you save nothing. You are a slave. And by that definition, I'm a slave, and probably most of the people in my audience are slaves, by that definition. Because, I mean, if a guy come up to you and he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a job, a great job. And you're all excited. Oh, great job, great job. And he says, yeah, you're going to have a free car. You're going to have expenses paid. He says, I'll pay for your house, I'll pay for your food, I'll pay for everything, your shoes, everything you need to live. You work for me 40 hours a week. And the guy says, well, what's the pay? How much pay am I going to get? He says, well, no, I'm only going to give you $20 a month for spending money. But he says, I'm going to pay for everything else. Pay for your car, pay for your food, pay for everything. The guy says, I ain't going to work at that because that's slavery. Well, that's exactly what's happening. They've raised prices so high on everything in your life, your electrical bills, your everything, that you can't save anything, and you're working steady week after week after week, and all you're doing is paying for your room and board and your car. It's slavery. It's organized slavery over huge swaths of land, over huge swaths of people, millions of people. But the thing is, they don't realize they're a slave because they can't see the whip. And basically all I'm doing is pointing out what the whip is. You know? And so we're already there. And things are getting an awful lot worse when you got robots running around everywhere, probably with ChatGPT telling you what to do on top of that. That's what's coming next. You know, some little ChatGPT robot buzzing around behind you, and he says, you can't do that today. You got to do this. And you're like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. And the robot says, no, well, we'll tell the government on you. And the guy says, well, that's it. I'm getting rid of this robot dog. He's out of my house. And then the robot dog says, if you do that, we'll tell the government on you. And if you do that, you'll end up in jail. It's a felony, it'll say, to remove me from the house, the robot will say to you. I'm your robot pet dog that watches everything you do and sends all the information back to the government. You can't even, it'll even tell you how to wipe when you're in the bathroom. It'll say, you're wiping wrong, you're wasting toilet paper. The little robot dog will be looking up at you and it's got ChatGPT on it. And it'll say, you wipe properly or that'll be a felony and you'll end up in prison. The guy's like, what? I thought I wiped okay. He says, you're using too much toilet paper, you're wasting the environment, that'll be 3 credit scores against you. Ding, 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 it just came out of your bank account. The guy's like, how do I learn to wipe properly? I mean, this is the kind of world we're entering into. You know, I mean, a world where you can't even go to the bathroom without some little Alexa following you in there. What are we going to do? And we're moving into this so fast, and they've never tried any of it. They don't have any redundant systems in place to protect us if the whole thing just collapses. And then where are we? Suddenly we've moved from ChatGPT in a collapse to the lights being out, no power, and you can do whatever the hell you want then. But everybody else can too. You better run for the hills if the power goes out for an extended period, you know. And I mean, they've never tried any of these systems in a large scale. They're just doing it all over. Everybody's got to go along with all this crap and move forward with this, all of this technology. And at the same time, they're building weapons as fast as they can. And these newer weapons are just like the cat's meow. They can travel through the air at hypersonic speeds of I think it's Mach 23, the Chinese. They got some glider or something that travels at Mach 23? 23 times the speed of sound? Well, clack, bang! That thing hits you and you don't even know where it came from. It's just bang. Because it's traveling so fast. It'd be just like a clap of thunder and then a bright flash and then everybody just vaporizes. These are the new weapons they're creating. And America's they're all creating them as fast as they can, especially North Korea. Oh my gosh. They don't even care about food anymore. They're just out in the gardens growing their things with waste that comes from the pot that they used the night before, you know, and that's what they got to eat. But no, they got to go to the factory and work all day to try to build this big long rocket with a pointy tip on the end, like the dictator said. Got to have the point. That's got to have the pointy tip on it. You know, really pointy, because that really makes it look like it's effective, you know. Yeah, they got a lot of them with pointy tips they're building right now, you know. And you got some North Korean guy up there on top of the thing, and he's tapping the tip of it with his hammer. Ding, 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 ding. I'm just joking around. Anyway, I got to joke a little bit. Lighten the humor here because we got a crazy world. And listen, I'll catch you guys in the next show. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.